let's get into some specifics. And if we go into the issue of security now, we're dissecting some of the achievements or some of the performance of this government side by side with the campaign promise. Mr. Garba Shehu, do some of your campaign promises now appear perhaps like an overestimation, considering some of the difficulty being experienced presently?
It's lost.
Mr. Garba Shehu, if I may ask you again, do some of your campaign promises in 2015 now appear perhaps like an overestimation, considering some of the difficulty that you currently experience right now in government?
I don't think that is correct to say that. Allow me half a minute then to go back to Kola, then I come back to this question. Kola, in his closing moments a short while ago, said their government made teachers happy. They bought cars, they bought homes. And we had a situation when we took power in which 27 states of the country, 27 please, paid no salaries to teachers. Some of them for as long as 1 year. As a matter of fact, when PDP campaigned then, they were greeted with this chance like when they said PDP people will say half salary. PDP will say no salary. President Buhari has paid 2.7 trillion naira to states as bailout and Paris, a refund to the states in order to help them majorly to pay, teachers and do the backlog of salaries. So that's taken care of. I would like to now go back to your question. Did we underestimate, or did you say did we overhype our promise? Not at all. The president had a clear understanding of the problems that the country faced and set out clearly to achieve those objectives. He set up, on day one, he asked the command and control center in the north that had operated and fought Boko Haram from Abuja, get out of town. Go to Abuja, the theater of war. You can feel the heat if you're outside the kitchen. And that had an immediate impact on the war against terror in the country. There are challenges that we face that are ongoing as we speak now. Please, if you would permit me, I will tell you that so much is going on in order that we deal with all of them. Some of them are historical problems. Clashes between farmers and herdspeople had existed even when the British were here with us. They had gone up and down. We had a high point lately, and the thing is gradually being brought down. As I speak to you today, when there is a plan to do exactly the things that had been done in Plateau, Nasarawa, and Benue in Zamfara area now. Operation Safe Haven had worked successfully. It had brought down crimes and killings in states that I just mentioned now. The government is planning by the coming week. Hopefully on Tuesday, high-level security meeting will decide, and that would be a similar setup. So problems would arise. There is no society that is without criminality. Ours is one of them. But as the challenges arise, the important thing is, are we squaring up to them? We are, and that's the difference we make.
Mr. Garba Shehu, before I go to Mr. Ologbondiyan, one of the campaign promises was that there will be provision of 3 million new jobs a year, which mathematically speaking, it will be about 9 million jobs that should have been provided from 2015 to now. And some of the reactions we are getting, some of the questions we're getting online right now when we ask Nigerians to react to some of the performance of your government. For example, Tosin Falade wrote to say APC promised to provide 3 million jobs. Funny enough, more people have lost their jobs than securing it, but it's fine because it's changed government. How would you react to such things?
We have done as much as that, if not more. Because if you follow what the Rice Growers Rice Growers Association of Nigeria are saying, in agriculture, in that sector alone, 6 million new jobs have been created. That's enormous. Government is creating thousands of jobs. We have done 200,000 on Npower, 300,000 are waiting for the budget to roll out, for execution, and we'll do that. And we're not putting together, and I'm sure at some point somebody will be doing this, the jobs that are being created by the private sector as it expands. as more factories reopen, as construction companies go back to work after laying off for so many years. By the time you add these numbers, I assure you that we have exceeded 9 million in 3 years.
Mr. Ologbondiyan, how would you react to it? For example, if you go into the area of, or perhaps I should allow you to react to some of the things Mr. Garba Shehu said. But if you look at realistically speaking, the area of security, Boko Haram is not exactly the insurgency in the northeast region. It's not exactly the same thing as it was in 2015. Is there some credit that you could give to this government?
Shehu, before I respond to the question, I was laying a foundation before you stopped me. And I had only addressed the issue of the economy. Don't forget that President Muhammadu Buhari campaigned on the three-pronged cardinal issues. 1, economy. 2, fighting insurgency. 3, fighting corruption. I had only spoken about the economy. Now on the insurgency. Like I said in the beginning, this government has performed dismally. It promised to end insurgency. Up to this moment, it has not brought insurgency to an end. Rather, we have a new form of insecurity, bordering on mass killings that has turned our nation into a parlor of dead bodies. And Garba is coming here to tell us that they have ended insurgency. It's not correct. And you also said just now that in 2015, the level of insurgency. We are making a mistake because I have listened to the presidential aides, including the Minister of Information, Alhaji Mohammed, claiming that some local governments were under Boko Haram in 2015. And the simplest question I ask them all, I want to ask is this. How were the results that were declared by INEC in the 2015 election in the Northeast, how did they come about them? Are they claiming that it was Boko Haram who conducted the election on behalf of INEC and passed the outcome to INEC? Is that what they are saying? Because as of 2015, there was no local government in the Northeast that was under insurgency, that was under Boko Haram. And it's a statement of fact. And if you say it is not correct, if you say this is not correct, then you need to explain to Nigerians how the results that were declared in favor of President Muhammadu Buhari in the Northeast, how they came about. But that is the issue. That is the issue about insurgency. On fighting corruption, it is known to every Nigerian that government is fighting its perceived opponents. It's not fighting any corruption. If they claim to be fighting corruption, because he said just now that they got the height of the fight against corruption last week, and I guess he was referring to John Nyame's conviction. What of those who stole money or who stole funds or allegedly stole funds and they are in government? What of those who allegedly cut grass with several millions of naira and they are walking free on the streets? What of the executive secretary of NHIS, whom the vice president Yemi Osinbajo suspended from office and was being investigated by EFCC until the president returned from his trip and asked him to return to office? You see, there are several cases and there are several indices that clearly manifest that this government is not fighting corruption. This government is fighting its perceived enemies, particularly those who have the capacity to run against President Muhammadu Buhari in 2019, and those who have enough influence to determine votes in their various areas. Those are the people that the APC government is fighting. It's not fighting any corruption.